Folks, I know there's a history here. I'd like to get this hearing in today. You know, everybody needs to just focus on the relevant facts, okay? I know there's a history here.
Are you talking up by Sunset Mart? Up the hill by the gas station?
Yeah.
Okay. Why did you... All right, who's responsible here?
What's that?
Who's responsible here? Whose house is this?
Yeah, I haven't been drinking or anything, right?
No.
Okay, drive careful, okay?
Thank you.
This is what the other group had that ran away.
Oh, really?
You just did shit?
Awesome.
Yeah, those ones kept walking in the car.
It's truly for the win.
That I was given to. So there was 2 different discs. Okay? They all knew about it.
We're not here to talk about the alcohol stuff, okay?
Okay, yeah.
But this is the second noise complaint we've had here tonight within 2 hours.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Is this your place?
Yeah.
Perfect. You know why we're here?
I see noise.
Noise, yeah.
Yeah.
Big speaker right there.
Yeah.
Nothing against having a party. Once neighbors start calling in, then we have an issue.
Like brains, and like if you need Lana brains, you're gonna be in trouble.
Hello, guys, and welcome to the Transparency. Good to see you guys. Good to be back. Good to see your names. Eldora Gatchel. Who is Eldora? Eldora was allegedly the last patient to see Brian Drake. Eldora went there allegedly with her husband, according to Jennifer Drake. This information would actually be incorrect. Eldora went to, when Jennifer Drake first talked to detectives and she was interviewed, she said that Eldora went with her husband. No, Eldora allegedly went with her brother, who was in town from Hawaii. Now,
Monday would be fine, but come in at work. So went to the airport to pick up my niece. Took our time on the way back. And later in the day, afternoon, maybe 3 or so, I got a text message back saying, "How's about 6 o'clock? End of the day, he's gonna squeeze us in anyway." So I said, "Okay, sure, we'll take it."
okay, so according to Eldora Gatchel, she claims that she originally had an appointment with Dr. Drake, and it was going to be for the Monday. So he was murdered on 3/12, and that was a Thursday. He's in Bonners Ferry on Mondays and Thursdays. But that he would squeeze her in on Thursday, and he let her know this. He let her know this via text message. Texted her and said, "Hey, can you come at 6 o'clock tonight. Let her know this at around 3. The previous day, they communicated via text as well, she said. And that it was the previous day, the Wednesday, is when she asked him, hey, can I be seen? Do you have any, availability, for you to see me on that Thursday, 3/12? He said, how about Monday? That's what she's referring to, is that this appointment was supposed to be on Monday, that they were going to see each other. She then says that Brian Drake texted her, didn't call, texted her and said, hey, can you come on in? And that this allegedly happened via text at 3 o'clock on Thursday. I can squeeze you in. Can you get here by 6? Well, during this visit, Eldora takes her brother, and they're there, and they actually record Brian Drake coming out of his patient room and to the, patient waiting area. And right before he does that, she says that she sees an angry guy, somebody that's like disgruntled looking, like, oh my God, he just, didn't even say hi. He gave me the weird vibes, all that stuff. And that after he had left, they go then in, they have their appointment, and that she says she can prove that she was at the grocery store because she was texting and blah, blah, blah at like 7:28. Well, after we've been reading these interviews, something that never sat right with me is Jennifer's account of being on the phone with him and then calling 911, but yet there's no record of 911 or any type of emergency call or a call period happening between the time that she got off the phone with him at 7:17 was when the call started, and then 7:26 was when the call ended, and that she made this call at 7:29. There is no call. But also in the interview, she says that she didn't call 911. Very weird that she says that, well, no, you guys called me. She's just really weird about it. It's very awkward. She also messes up when she says that she had talked to Eldora and that it was her and her husband that went to that appointment. Now, also, you have to mind, like, she could just make a mistake. She's going through a lot. She, obviously just lost her husband. It's a funeral, all these things. She also says that I don't think that Eldora was they came to the funeral. They were at the funeral. So there's just a bunch of inconsistencies. Well, I went ahead and I looked into how ISP wrote up the probable cause. Take a look. Miss Drake hung up to call 911 after a short period of time. Mrs. Drake estimated the time from Dr. Drake no longer responding and to when she hung up was approximately 15 seconds. What the fuck does that have to do with, why can't you be putting down when Mrs. Drake called 911? Like, what's the problem here? Okay. Based on the timestamp from the phones in Mrs. Drake's estimation of time of when he stopped responding, puts the time of the shooting at approximately 7:26. Mrs. Drake dialed 911 to report what she had heard. The dispatch center in Coeur d'Alene patched her call first up to the Bonner County Dispatch Center, and they patched it up do the Boundary County Sheriff's Dispatch Center now? I did a couple things. And number one is in the interview process with Jennifer. She says that when she made this call to, 911, that prior to calling 911, that she'd made 2 phone calls. She called and he didn't answer, and it was like 3 seconds. And then she made another call, and then, it didn't answer. And then she called the police. Eldora Gatchel saying that Jennifer's acting weird. Jennifer saying that Eldora Gatchel's, weird, but also Jennifer blames everybody in the interview process, like that she just, is doing. So I said, Jennifer Drake didn't make a 911 call between the time of 7:26 and 7:29. There's no 911 call. There's no call, period, except that she does call her husband again at 7:32. Okay. She calls his phone at 7:32 and no one answers. Okay. And she messes up. And I'm going to show you guys how she messes up. She slips up, but Lana caught it. And she references at 7:32 that it was done. Like that's when it happened. Very interesting language, if you ask me. I'm going to show you what I mean by that. Let's see. Thank you there, Dra Latina. Whoop, whoop. Go, girl. Let's see. Okay. No, not that one. Oh, that one's that one. Hold on. Okay, let me share this for you guys. Okay. Detective Sergeant Van Leeuwen said, and the office mate Kip Hartman's mother-in-law, who does the books, she would get there early in the morning sometimes, and she said his car was always there. Okay, always there. Well, God, I would love to know if it was like always there or if it was just there like on 2 days of the week. What's always mean? Anyways, interesting. But more interesting is where, you know what? This ain't the right one. This is, again, I want you guys to listen to this again.
We didn't expect to get in this open. Well, Monday would be fine, but he could come in at work. So, went to the airport to pick up my niece. Took our time on the way back. And later in the day, mid-afternoon, maybe 3 or so, I got a text message back saying, how's about 6 o'clock? End of the day, he's going to squeeze us in anyway. So I said, okay, sure, we'll take it. So came back. Of course, Sonia wasn't feeling well, so she stayed home. And Keiko and I went to the appointment. We got there at 6:03, and we noticed that because I made a comment in the car. 6:03, We're almost there. So we pull up, and there's pretty much no cars there.
Okay. So 6:03 is when she says that she got there. The problem I'm having, guys, is none of these text messages exist. None of these text messages exist. She's saying that Dr. Drake told her via text message, can you come in at 6? And told her this at 3. And she's saying that she got a text message. No. Let's see. What do you guys think about that? Was it on his work cell phone? Did she ever show this text message to authorities? Are we talking about the same day? You know? But like, hey, do you have that text message? Can I see that text message? You know, can I see that text message? Can I see what time that was at? So I did some investigating. Let's see. My investigation came back and said that that we have text messages from the guy that was there earlier before that Eldora said that walked out all just like disgruntled or whatnot. And he has text messages, not of that day, but on March 2nd. There's no text messages between Dr. Drake and Paul Jacobson on March 12th whatsoever. Nor are there text messages with Jacobson and Dr. Drake the day before. Okay. But what he shows authorities is here, I have some text messages from March 2nd, Monday, March 2nd. Then let's see. This is the verbiage that she uses. Van Leven says, what time did you call 911? What time did you call 911? And now that I relocated it, I can share it. Okay, let me press this. Okay, let me share this now. It should be clearer for you guys. Right down here at the bottom of your screen, Van Leeuwen says, what time did you call 911? Okay. So right here. What time did you call 911? Miss Drake says, it was 3 seconds. It was 3 seconds. It was, 911. It doesn't show on my phone 911. It doesn't show on my phone my 911. That's her answer. Okay, again, this is really, really important. So follow along here. Because I'm about to blow. Okay. Again, question. Simple question. What time did you call 911? Now, before that, okay. He said, I think someone just shot me through the window. And so that must have been when he turned around. Turned around. And I immediately, my next brain, it's just immediately went to where did it hit you? And that's when he said, I think, and that's when he turned around. And that's when he said, I think it's in my side. And then the phone went dead. And I said, Brian, started yelling, trying to get him to pick up. And I didn't hear a shot. I didn't hear him fall. I didn't hear the phone fall. I just literally went like black. It just went black. And so my brain was, I didn't want to hang up just in case he picked up. But then I was so afraid that since he wasn't picking up, I better call 911. So I have to stop connection with him in order to get to somebody else on the phone. Okay, what time did you call 911? It was 3 seconds. It was, 911? It doesn't show on my phone my 911. Does it say emergency on there? No, it doesn't say anything. It literally has 642 and then, yeah, what did they say? Oh, wait, whoopsies. It literally says 632 and then calling and then 732 and then I called you. You called us. This is Miss Miller. This is not the police chiming in. This is her mother chiming in and says, and then she's like, because she probably points to her and she's like, and then I called you. You called us. And then I called Papa and Bonner's Ferry Dispatch called me. Did you call on the house line? I don't have a house line. It was on this. I did everything on this. There's no 911 call on here. And then that's a fucking lie. And Bonner's Ferry called you at, I think Bonner's Ferry called it's the 280 number. It was like at 744. I called, or no, maybe I called them. Nope, they called me at 744. And all I could get from them was that medics are there. And I kept saying, is he alive? Is he hit? Medics are there and they have people looking for a suspect. I said, so they are there like he's alive? All I know is medics are there and wouldn't tell me anything. And then the next time I talked to them, they called me asking for his cell number. And I remember saying, why do you need his cell number if you're there with him? What did they say? Drake says. She just said the sheriff needs it. She wouldn't tell me if he was alive or dead. And I knew in my heart, if you can't get it from him, it means that he can't speak, or they wouldn't tell me why. They just said they just need his cell number. I thought it was so odd. Medics are there and the sheriff needs his cell number. But then she says, but yeah, so 6:42, then it happened at 7:32. What happened at 7:32? Well, I'll tell you what happened at 7:32. She called her husband at 7:32 and he didn't answer. At 7:32, it was a 3-second call, and it's because his voicemail picked up because it kept ringing, and then it got picked up by the voicemail, and then it was a hang up. Okay. And she says that it happened and she slips and says 7:32. Okay. And then it happened right there. But yeah, and then it happened at 7:32. And I tried calling him back again. And I let it go for like 3 seconds and then another 3 seconds. It just kept going straight to voicemail. So I knew he was not getting on. I'd like you to let us download your phone. Are you willing to do that? So I said to myself, come on, Lana, think. And so I go back to this. Ready? Okay. Ready? Miss Drake said her husband exclaimed that something had struck him in the side. He then said he thought someone had shot him through the window. He then stopped responding to Mrs. Drake. Mrs. Drake hung up to call 911 after a short period of time. Well, let me tell you what Van Leuven thinks is a short period of time. Van Leuven thinks that a short period of time is an hour and 15 minutes. An hour and 15 minutes. Like, wait, what? Yeah. Check this out. Mrs. Drake estimated the time from Dr. Drake no longer responding to when she hung up was approximately 15 seconds. So they're referring to the 7-minute or the 9-minute and 15-second phone call from her phone to him, or vice versa, rather. He called her, right? She called him at 6:42, and then he called her at 7:17. And they had a conversation for 9 minutes and 15 seconds. And I said to myself, why in the probable cause wouldn't you just list what time Mrs. Drake called 911? Like, why are we talking about all of this? Based on the timestamp. So remember now into the Idaho 4 case. Based on the timestamp from the phones and Mrs. Drake's estimation of time of when he stopped responding puts the time. So this is all hearsay. Mrs. Drake telling you. But you want to know when it does not become hearsay? Well, let's just go get the CAD notes. Let's just go see what time the 911 call was based off of the CAD notes, right? There's one thing that Jennifer Drake wasn't expecting. And that one thing was Isaac Thunderberg making a 911 call. In court, as Van Leeuwen asked, what time did you call 911? What time did you call 911? She totally, lies. Gives this big fucking elaborate deal about whatever the fuck she wants to talk about, whatever. All fucking lies. But something that stuck out to me is that, okay, you as a investigator, you have to do your job. So they ask, can we have your phone so we can download this? Okay. Download your phone. And when you go and you actually look at her phone, she says that when she got the phone, she admits that she called her mom and then she called her dad. Okay. Well, she doesn't admit to who the fuck else she called all this time, but she also doesn't admit, okay, that her 911 call, because remember this, how am I supposed to know that somebody called 911 other than me? How would I ever know that? How would I ever know that somebody else have called 911? I wouldn't, right? So, as he says, Mrs. Drake dialed 911 to report what she had heard. He uses very, very interesting language there. You want to know why he says it like that? Mrs. Drake dialed 911 to report what she had heard. Because technically it's not a lie. Yeah, Mrs. Drake called 911 to report what she had heard. What time? He's basing the time of death, the time of the shooting, at 7:26 p.m. based off of her alleged phone conversation with him and that took place, okay? Now, what if I told you that there's no record of Miss Eldora and Dr. Drake having any of those text messages, okay? But more importantly, that Jennifer Drake called 911 when she got back home to Hayden, okay? Or whenever somebody else arrived back home to Hayden. And that call was at 8. I'll give you the exact time. Um, 8:32 and 59 seconds. At 20:32 and 59 seconds. 20:32 and 59 seconds. It's for 2 minutes and 3 seconds. 2 minutes and 3 seconds was that phone call. Then she makes back-to-back 2 phone calls to Brian Drake at 8:45 and 54 seconds, and then to his work cell phone at 8:46 and 52 seconds. When she says that I tried calling and it was 3 seconds, and then I tried calling again, and it was 3 seconds. Do you understand that the 911 call that Jennifer Drake made, she had no idea that 911 had already been called by Isaac Bunderberg. And here she is acting like a complete fucking raging lunatic, that she just got off the phone with her husband, and that, oh my God, you have to send somebody there. And that's why she says that I called and it only lasted for 3 seconds. Let me show you. Ready? Okay. And this was 9 minutes and how many seconds? 9 minutes and 15 seconds. This was 9 minutes and 15 seconds, okay? Ready? Give it to me. 9 minutes and 50 seconds. Yes. Well, Mr. J. Drake says 9 minutes and 15 seconds. Jennifer, yes. And I would say it was probably, we talked for 9 minutes. We were starting to go kind of like round down. Like he needed to go eat. And it was like the last 15 seconds, because even after he fell and the phone, it didn't go dead. I didn't hear a thump. I didn't hear like, it literally, even when like I think back to the fact that I'm thinking, how did I not hear a gunshot? I just heard him yell. He yelled twice. We were kind of winding down, and all of a sudden it was like, his phone was like this, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh my gosh. And I was like, what? And he was like, he goes, I think. Then he said, something just hit me. And he said it twice. Something just hit me. And I go, what do you mean? And that's when all of a sudden I could hear it. Even his voice. Because it was kind of like this, just something hit him. For some reason, I'm thinking like something fell off the ceiling or something. I'm thinking like, what do you mean something just hit you? He said, I think someone just shot me through the window. And so that must have been when he turned around. Why did you think that he turned around versus that he would, like, do you know that he was shot in the back? Like, that he turned around? And I immediately, my next brain, it just immediately went to where did it hit you? And that's when he said, I think it's in my side. And then the phone went dead. And I said, Brian, started yelling, trying to get to him to pick up. And I didn't hear a shot. I didn't hear him fall. I didn't hear the phone fall. I just literally went like, oh my God, like it went black. Okay. And so my brain was, I didn't want to hang up just in case he picked up. But then I was so afraid that since he wasn't picking up, I better call 911. So I had to stop connection with him in order to get to somebody else on the phone. What time did you call 911? So this would have been, she hung up that phone call allegedly with Brian at 7:26. She says, what time did you call 911? It was 3 seconds. It was, 911. It doesn't show on my phone, my 911. Does it say emergency on there? Tolson and Van Leuven don't say, oh, you don't get 911 calls. They don't go on your phone and it's not going to show up. They're like, what do you mean? Like, did you use another line then? Like, this call is going to come through. And then 732, how does she says that she leaves it like this. No, it doesn't say anything. It literally has 642, and then Brian tried calling. Brian tried calling what? Did Brian try calling 911? Did he try calling 911? But he couldn't. And then 732. What was 732? And then I called you. You called us. And then I called Papa. And then Bonners Ferry Dispatch called me. Did you call the house line? I don't have a house line. It was on this. I did everything on this. There's no 911 call on here. And Bonners Ferry called you. I think it's Bonners Ferry. The 208. It was at 744. I called, or no, maybe I called them. Nope, they called me at 744. And all I could get from them was that medics are there. Okay, then I have a question for you. My question is, Drake, since nobody else asked you, what did you do all day? What did you do all day? Where were you all day? Did you have lunch with your son? Did you give your son your cell phone? Here's another question for you. Sick. This is so sick. This is disgusting. Let's see. So Gatchel and Drake never have that conversation. Did you know that Brian Drake did not make any outgoing phone calls that day to anybody except for his wife and child? No outgoing phone calls were made from Brian Drake's cell phone. No outgoing text messages were made from Brian Drake's cell phone unless it was to his wife. Wait, what? What do you mean? Yeah. Wait, say that again? I'll help you here. No outgoing phone calls, no outgoing texts were made from Brian Drake's cell phone unless it involved his family, only his eldest son and his wife. Now, let's see what type of phone calls happened between 7:32 and 8:32. Let's see. Let's go like this. Okay. An incoming phone call from Brenner Drake to Jennifer Drake is at 6:56 p.m. The next incoming call that Jennifer Drake received before that phone call at 6:56 and 30 seconds happened at 12:17 p.m. Jennifer Drake does not take an incoming call from 12:17 p.m. to 6:56 p.m. Okay, let me show you guys something. Hector, because I love you. It's very, very important information. This is how I figured it out. Share screen. Hector. Everything that Jennifer did involving her phone, okay, was there's no incoming calls. Okay. That means that if anybody was to call her, oh, transparency, oh yeah, there we go. Ah. Modswad just coming in and just love bombing us. So think about this. If I give you my phone, you can't answer it because then they're gonna know that like you didn't have that I didn't have my phone. But what you can do is you can text back because then they're not gonna know who has the phone. Or you can call between people that know that your phone is being utilized in the way that it's about to be utilized. So this call right here, the last incoming call that Jennifer takes on 313 is a call from her sister. Okay. Then the next incoming call is a call from her son, Brenner. Okay. Now, Jennifer Drake is asked a question during her interview, and she's asked, "Do you work, Miss Drake?" And she says, "No, I did." He says, "Do you work part-time?" She says, "I worked for Laura Little for about half of a year, and that's Jessie Little's mom." During the day on 3/12, around 3 p.m., she gets an incoming text message from basically Uber saying you need to update your driving papers. Next. Detective Van Leeuwen says that Dr. Drake, he had like another device in his pocket that was like a little like T handle. And Ms. Drake says, activator. Yeah. Those two things kind of do the same thing, two different places of the body, but yes. Now, hold on. Detective Van Leeuwen asks her, do you have a pattern with your phone? Is it passcode protected? And she says, no. And then he says, a code pattern to get to it? She says, no. Okay. And then she says, Brian's didn't have one on his either, did it? Detective Van Leeuwen says, we haven't touched it. We haven't touched it. So she offers up that Brian's phone doesn't have a password on it. And Van Leeuwen saying, we haven't even touched his phone yet. (8:16) and 8:17 p.m. Her son, Berenner, texts his dad and says, I love you, and then writes Papa in the next one at 8:16 and 8:17 p.m. If Brian Drake is dead, laying on the ground at 7:30 and can't, he's dead, he can't do anything, please explain to me how these text messages were opened and seen as read in the Cellbrite dump. How is that possible? The next text message that came through to Brian's phone was at 9:52 when somebody thought that he was still alive, asking if they could get a spot tomorrow. This one is not read. Okay, so what that means is that between 8:17 p.m. and 9:52 p.m., this cell phone was 100% opened up and looked at. Now you want to go listen back to what Jennifer Drake says. And she says, I don't know why they were asking about his phone, and oh my God, and they just wanted his number. She was told that we're going to have to figure out a way to explain this. Well, y'all can explain it however you want. Somebody opened up that cell phone at the crime scene if he was allegedly dead at 7:30, because nothing else is seen as read except for these two from his son writing at 8:16 and 8:17, love you, or I love you, and then Papa, 8:16 and 8:17. now. Thank you. Pay it forward. Thank you. Dre Latina. I'm stuck at the airport with indefinite flight delays. So glad you are live streaming. You know it. You know it. You guys are so good to be back because this is really, really important. All right, so let's back up the day here. Okay. Let's talk about Jen's day here. Woo. Now, when there was an interview done for one of the cameras in the area, it was off by 9 minutes and 15 seconds. What? Yes, one of the cameras in the area, surveillance, said that it was behind and it was off by 9 minutes and 15 seconds. That's what the camera was off. I said, what the fuck? I said, that's the same time frame of that fucking call. I said that it was off 9 minutes and 15 seconds. So a camera, that's a surveillance camera, they determined, oh, this was off 9 minutes and 15 seconds. Well, I bet you it wasn't. Okay, so we're going to get to that. Okay, same time, same amount of time as the 911 call. Or not the 911 call, but the call with Drake, husband to wifey poo. Well, we're going to back it all up here. And I said to myself, okay, let's start from the beginning because this day is just wild. All right. So, all right. So on 3/12, the day of the murders, Brian Drake's last outgoing call on his phone was on 3/11 at 4:25 p.m. Okay. That's his last outgoing call on 3/11. Then on 3/12, okay, 3/12, his first outgoing call of the day was he called Jennifer Drake at 12:43 and it went to voicemail. It rang for, it was like the 3 seconds because like the voicemail picked up. Okay. We're talking about phone calls. Then immediately afterwards, okay, at 12:44, Brian called his son Brenner. And they talked for 7 minutes and 9 seconds. Now, I'm not going to say that people were talking to her, okay? How you need to refer to this is you always have to remember this, is that people's phones are talking to each other. So Jen's phone, okay, Brian, this is outgoing. I want to show you guys something. Outgoing, Brian to Jen's phone, and then this is to Brenner's phone. Okay, and so these are these phones that are communicating, and it's really important because you have no idea who's operating the phone. Okay. Then after the 12:44 phone call, all right, 12:44 phone call, 6:42, 3:12, and it's a incoming call, and that's Jen to Brian. So there's nothing that happens between 12:44 and 6:42. So Jen to Brian. And this is the call that lasts 13 seconds. Then the 7:17 call, then the 7:32 call, then a 7:48 call, then a 7:49 call, then an 8:45 call in 56 seconds, and this is outgoing to Jen, and this is your infamous 9:15 minutes to Jen from Brian, and then here is 3:12 to Brian it's an incoming from Jen, and it says 3 seconds. Okay, which is that it's being picked up, in my opinion, by voicemail, not directly here. I want to show you then what happens. Incoming 3:12 Jen, and now these 3:12s and 3:12s, this is okay. So here you go. His phone calls on the day of the murder. 12:43, he attempts to call his wife's, 12:43, Brian Drake's phone attempts to call Jennifer Drake's, 3 seconds, whether it was picked up or whether it went to voicemail. 12:44, he then immediately hangs up, or this phone hangs up, and then calls Brenner, his son, and it's for 7 minutes and 9 seconds. Okay. Then nothing happens until Jen's phone calls Brian's phone at 6:42, and it was for 13 seconds. And this is the alleged Gatchel is there and she's getting readjusted and everything like that. Okay. And then she overheard this conversation of, oh, he'll call me right back. Okay. Then Brian's phone calls Jen at 7:17, and it was 9 minutes and 15 seconds. Okay. And then 7:32, Jen's phone to Brian's phone, 7:32, and it was just 3 seconds. Then at 7:48 and 7:49, he has 2 incoming calls that are from void numbers, but these are 00, and I believe his phone is off and it's going straight to voicemail, meaning that they're missed calls, but they're also, because that's what happens with the Jen when she tries to call at 8:45, and then she makes a call at 8:46 and some odd seconds just right after it, where she calls his work cell allegedly, and it is, it's, but these numbers, there's no information behind them. Okay. Now, this is fucking wild. Okay. So I said to myself, when they were interviewing Gatchel, did they ever ask her like what day this was all happened? Like, what day did you see Brian? Can I see your video? What did we get some metadata behind that? You know, did all of this truly transpire on the day that she, you know, thought? Because she didn't get this interview, that this stuff didn't happen until the, you know, just throwing it out there. I was like, you know, they're really not using dates or anything, and she's over here saying that she was texting with him. Well, and he was. So I looked further into it, and actually, what happened in the morning for Dr. Drake is that 2 people canceled on him. 2 people canceled on him. So people that were supposed to see him at 9, and like he said, he texted somebody and said, I'm running 10 minutes late. So I'm curious if that ever even happened, that appointment that was supposed to be at 9. Then somebody had texted and said that they needed to cancel their 11 a.m. And then we get to the infamous, okay, I want to know about, like, Jen said that she was at home, sitting on her couch next to her daughter when she got this 911 call. And you know, or I'm sorry, when she was talking to her husband, and then she had to then make the 911 call because he had, you know, been shot, and she had to call 911. And then her daughter was sitting there. Well, I did the deep dive, and the Drakes have 1 daughter. 1 daughter. Okay. I deep dive further, and their son, that was the 16-year-old, he had a car. And he had his driver's license. Okay. And this was COVID, and things were canceling. Okay. So I said, well, nobody hears from Brian again via his phone, outgoing, to anybody other than his family this day, the day before. Brian was in group text messages with his friends to include Jennifer Drake. You guys know how you have like a friend group message? Well, Brian didn't communicate in the group chat at all on 3/12, the day of his murder. He did not partake in that group chat. Okay. Also, now at 5:27 a.m., Jen, this is on 3/12, the day of the murder. Jen texts Brian to say good morning, and she wanted to just talk, like say hi, and to get his day started on 3/12. Now, I've never heard of, and correct me if I'm wrong, have you guys ever heard of that if you're sleeping in the same bed with somebody and you're getting up to like leave to like go to work or whatever, or go do something, that you would just, why are you texting this person to say good morning, and you just want to like, before the whatever the fuck term she used, like before your day gets crazy, just wanted to text you and say whatever, hi, and before your day gets underway. 5:27 a.m. It's normal to do texting that early because their group messages started at 12, like the same time with all their friends. So that's normal. The time is normal, but the thing that's not normal is if I'm laying next to somebody, or if I'm at the same, if I'm with them, laying next to them, waking up, whatever, like he wakes up, his routine is to wake up from Hayden and drive to Bonner's, 75 minutes. Okay. 1 hour and 15 minutes. Okay. Now, let's see what else. Going right in my order of my notes that I wanted to write out like this because it was going to be better for you to remember. Okay. At On 3/13, okay, the day after the murder, Eldora calls his cell phone, Brian Drake's cell phone, at 7:29 and 40 seconds. And she calls again at 7:30 and 52 seconds. And this time, because it goes straight to voicemail when you go like this, but this time she chose to leave a voicemail. So she got a 16-second voicemail in there. Okay. Then she called again. At 7:31, and she didn't leave a voice message, but just throwing that out there that she called him. Okay. In her interview, she talks about the time frame of 7:29. And I'm curious if she was looking at her call log that showed 3:13 and showed these. I'm just curious because it's really ironic that she mentions 7:29 in her interview with the police. Okay. Because there is no transactions with Eldora on 3/12, the day of the murder. When she says, hey, I was texting him and he told me to come there. Okay, well, I'm going to double, triple, quadruple check. I want to see that. I want to see that. Okay? Okay. Because it ain't there. Now, also, I want to see the video timestamp that it was, that all of this truly did happen on the 12th. That you saw him, that you video recorded him, and that this wasn't maybe on, a different day, on Monday, because they didn't ask any times. They just did a shit job. Don't know why. Now, let's see. Like I said, Jennifer. Day of the murder. 9:24, 10:02, 11:13. And these are numbers that were not saved in her phone. These are incoming calls. And they were for 19 seconds, 22 seconds, and 20 seconds. This is her sister, incoming for 30 seconds. Then she gets the call that she missed from Brian, allegedly. And then at 12:43, Brian called the son's phone. Now, I did my investigating, and her son went allegedly to lunch that day. And she Jennifer sends a text to her friend. It's a picture of food. And she says that she's having lunch with Brenner and that was a picture of his food. Okay? And that happens at (12:41 p.m.). So she shoots a text message. So Jen, outgoing text. Right before all of this is actually like that. Right before all of this happens, Jen sends out an outgoing text at 12:41 that says, and it's a picture of food, and she sends it to her friend, and she says, "Me and Brenner are having lunch, and this is his meal." Okay. Then Brian's phone calls her, and she doesn't pick up. Then Brian's phone calls Brenner, and he picks up, whoever it is with the phone. And that's your 7-minute and 15-second call. Okay. Now, Jen's phone, 12:17, the last incoming call that she takes until the 6:58 incoming call. Okay? No incoming calls. Why? Because it's fucking geolocation, boo. She got Life 360 app, baby. She got to show that she's with her son. Right? Watch and learn, ladies and gentlemen, the jury. Well, let's go to okay. Okay. You guys are gonna shit. This is wild. Here, okay. At 3:12, I'm sorry, at 8:13. So at 8:13 a.m. Please cancel 11 a.m. tomorrow. Sounds like it probably wouldn't help my situation at this time. So something needs to get canceled, okay, for 11 a.m. for the next day. Then Brian's phone says, okay. Then this other person says, can I do 11:30? Okay. Could you do 11:30? Running about 10 minutes late, hope that's okay. Then this person says, yes, I can. And then at 9:13 a.m., will keep you in my prayers, he got. You're a good man. None of us without struggles. Remember, our fight is not against flesh and blood and anything. God loves you as if you are his only son. Okay. No response. At 11:57, Jennifer Drake texts Brian Drake and says that the G3 is canceled. Then she texts him at 2:08 to say that this dog died yesterday. Their friend's dog died yesterday and just wanted you to know. So okay. So she texts him at 2:08 p.m. and says, dog died that are friends, okay? 11:57 a.m. Then at 2:08 is the dog died, okay? Mind you, he tried to call her at 12:42, then calls Brenner. Now they're together because they're eating lunch, okay? But she says, oh my God, I got to call and text Brian and let him know that this dog died. So then Brian, allegedly, his phone makes it's a text message to this friend of theirs at 2:22 p.m. and says, Jen just let me know about the dog. I'm so sorry, brother. Text to friend about dog. At 2:18, wrote Jen back before doing the 2:22 text and said, oh no, okay, thanks for letting me know. I'll reach out. Now, let's take a look. What else was going on that day? I think it's going to be here. Okay, so Jennifer texts her friend Beth and asks Beth if she can keep her daughter. Because Beth texts her and says, hey, they're the concert that I was going to take the girls to, outgoing text to Jennifer, got canceled because of COVID. And so then Jennifer returns a text and says, well, I told my daughter that it's okay with me if she spends, the night, if it's okay with you. And this is her one and only daughter. And right here, there's a text exchange back and forth that her daughter is going to stay in the presence of her friends, Beth. She was not with her daughter the whole entire day or night. Yet tells the world 2023 that her daughter was sitting right next to her. No, she wasn't. And guess who can prove it? Phone records. Beth can prove it. Beth knows that she had her daughter. Now we'll get into the goods of Jennifer's setup. So I went and double checked that Jen was not active in her group texting. The last text message from Jen in her group text messages were 11:40 a.m. Now, I said, how the hell did Jen pull this off if her phone's in left there? Somebody has to be making these text messages for her, because Jen does not do anything that day via phone calling and talking to people. And so, and what I mean by that is she can't have her phone being with her if it's outside of where she says it's supposed to be. So if she says that she made a 911 call and it was in Hayden, that's where it needed to be, right? Right. But what about all these other messages? What about texting these other people? What about the text messages that she would have been making at like 6:56? And if she was to make, if she had her phone with her Life 360 app, it would show that she traveled to Bonner's Ferry. How is she supposed to pull this off? Well, it's simple. You need help. You need help. Her son writes her a text message at 9:30, 9:31, 9:32. And her response is that she's on the phone with the police. I went and I looked. I said, what? You're on the phone with the police? No, you're not. You're talking to Steve, the 25-year-old who's involved with the church and who drives your kids around. You're talking to Steve. You're not on the phone with the police at that time. What about 8:30 p.m., 8:32 p.m.? Maybe that's more like it. Let's go back to here. What else does she text her husband that day? Well, at 5:45, she texts him, Jen, to Brian, and says, pray for their other kid, starts with an H. Pray for H. He has lostology, and he's speaking. Then she says, it was a typo. So then she resubmits it back to him. He doesn't respond. Okay. I went and looked up when this lostology thing was set up. It was just set up the day before, and she tells this person that the Steve guy is going to be H's ride. So Steve is actually giving H a ride and taking him to this thing that's from, my understanding is one of the kids had soccer from 7 to 9 at the Croc, and that this kid had stuff from 6 to 8 that was speaking. And now I found out the girl is with Beth. So, and then with texts and emails, I found out that Jennifer, texts her son at 4:36 to take a bunch of pictures and video record everything that H is about to go do. Take pictures, get pictures of this, get pictures of that. Just like how you guys did with you and Steve when it was your turn to do all that. Get all these pictures. So here you have Jen. She's not with her daughter. She's allegedly not with Brenner because she's trying to make it seem like Brenner is doing all of these things with Steve and H. Okay. And then the other kid, A, is at soccer. 7-9 p.m. at the Croc. So then where and who and what is Jen doing? The daughter's with Beth. Brenner, she's making it seem like she's not with Brenner and that he's with Steven with H and they're doing this. But then Brenner texts his mom and texts his mom at 6:52 p.m. and says, "Where are the kids?" Wait, where are the kids? What 16-year-old talks about where are the kids? Where are the kids when talking about your siblings that are just a couple years younger than you? Where are the kids? What? Then they talk. Where are the kids? Are they at the Croc? What kids are you referring to? Now, what this text will do, though, is it makes it seem like, you know, because he writes before that, he's like, I got pictures and I got video. I recorded everything. Okay, that's like at, I don't know, 6. Then he's making it seem like he gets home and that there's nobody there. And it's like, where are all the kids? Where are the kids? Where are the kids? Like, what? How about, where the fuck is Jennifer? Where's Jennifer? Do you understand that nobody asked her like what she did that day? Like, how do you get interviewed and nobody asks you where you were and what you were doing that day? Do you know that do you know the medics, when they arrived on scene, by the time that they, like, you know, got there and gave a report of everything, they said that the bullet, the gunshot bullet, whatever the bullet that they heard, the gunshot, the bullet, they said that it didn't cause any, there's no blood, ears, mouth, nose, that whatever this, there's no cuts, scrapes, nothing. And this alleged, you know, gunshot that went through this window, or multiple gunshots, because the eyewitness actually heard 2 gunshots and they lied and said only 1. Have you ever heard of such a thing? Have you guys ever heard of such a thing? That can you imagine that your plan is that my question is if somebody was already dead and then how do you shoot somebody and there be like no blood like anywhere? How's that possible? Like, how would I understand if you have internal bleeding, okay? But if somebody shoots you and it goes, it goes through your flesh, okay? How is there going to be no blood? So, I'm asking a question. I'm asking a question about like, for example, if let's say you're already dead and I decide that I am going to, what the fuck am I supposed to do? He's already dead. Let's go place his body at the Bonners Ferry, like fucking, office. And then what we're going to do is you're going to what? Shoot a bullet, okay, through the glass. And we're going to make it seem like he died from a gunshot wound, okay? Can you imagine creating this whole plan and then somebody fucking it all up because they called 911 and you were never expecting somebody to call 911 before you called 911? So if someone tells you, or you go and do it too, that you're going to place this body, okay, we're going to do this, then we'll get back to where we need to be so that the 911 call can happen from a phone number that would, ping off of the towers of Hayden and hit the Kootenai, dispatch and then be patched through and all that shit. But then come to find out, your 911 call that you make is an hour and 15 minutes later than the 911 call that Isaac Thunderbird made, because his call was that he heard, he heard gunshots, and then he saw somebody, he heard 2 gunshots, and then he saw somebody like, looked like they were running. And, it was from across the street from him. And, it looked like they were running, or like running. Okay. And so he called 911 just to be like, I don't know. He was calling because the suspicious person that was running away. And they asked him if the guy looked like he was injured. Like the guy that, you saw running. And he's like, no, I don't know. No, it looked off. So I called 911. And he just, because he's like, he doesn't give an address of where this occurred. Okay. He just says where his address was and that it was across the street. Okay. So, because I wondered why we're not ever talking about what time Miss Drake made her 911 call. If she's recorded on her 911 call, why aren't we just like hearing it, playing it, and then boom, what time was it at? Well, I'm going to tell you why. Because you cannot play this 911 call and then ask her what time she called 911 and then actually show, if you show the CAD notes behind it, to see what time 911 like was dispatched. Well, it's dispatched at 7:38 p.m. And then here, so her 911 call, when it comes in, and she gives the address, and she's acting hysterical that she just got off the phone with him. You got to send somebody over there right now. I don't know if he's touching. And she's saying all these things, right? If she's saying all this shit, right? She just got off the phone with him, right? So I was adamant that this 911 call was never placed. Until I dove deeper. And it was placed. It was placed. It was just placed an hour and 15 minutes later. Now, how in the fucking world? Because this is the easiest thing to pick up on. This is the easiest thing to see. That these police officers would have, like, okay, dude, did you listen to that 911 call? She said, like, well, no wonder why you used the language that you used. Well, Miss Drake hung up to call 911 after a short period of time. Well, what the fuck's a short period of time? And why can't they just give the time? Well, they can't give the time because it's an hour and 15 minutes fucking later. Lana, how do you know that? Because they're hiding the time of the phone call. But how do you know that? Because they hid the time of the phone call. Who would ever in their right fucking mind need to hide what time of night, like what time somebody called, and you need to do some mathematical shit to figure out what time somebody was shot? You would never do that. You would just they celebrate, they dumped her phone. So let's look at it. What does it say? Well, yeah, she didn't call 911 between 7:26 and 7:36. Okay, so then when did she call 911? I would love to know where Brian Drake's regular iPhone or regular phone was pinging off of the day of the murders. Brian Drake doesn't make any calls, nothing with his phone between 9 and 12, like even like text messages. After 9 o'clock, because it was like 8:50. After 9 o'clock and between 12:43, he doesn't do anything with his phone. How could Brian Drake call his wife and then son? If Brian Drake didn't do it, then who did it? Whoever had his cell phone. The question is where was it pinging? Was it pinging in Hayden? Or, at 12 o'clock, 12:43, was it pinging in Bonner's? Let me ask you guys a question. How do I explain why Bonner's Ferry would have called, or why would somebody have called from Bonner's Ferry or Boundary County if Jennifer Drake didn't call 911 yet? Why would she be getting a call like she says right here? How would anybody be able to explain this? So if she didn't call 911 yet, And she tries to say that the 7:44 phone call that she got was, she's like, that's when you guys are calling me. You guys are calling me and you guys are asking me at 7:44. You guys like want his like cell, like, watch this. I think it's Bonner's Ferry, the 208 number. It was at 7:44. I called, or no, maybe I called them. Nope, they called me at 7:44. And all I could get from them was that medics are there. Medics are there. I want to know who gave Jennifer Drake the CAD notes. I want to know who gave Jennifer Drake CAD notes. What do you mean, Lana? I want to know who supplied Jennifer Drake with the information that she is speaking about right now in this interview. What do you mean, Lana? At 7:44, whoever she is trying to say called her at 7:44, it was, I got a call from you guys. It was Bonner's Ferry, and they called telling me that there was medics. Okay, so who heard the scanner? Who supplied the information? And this phone number of the whoever called her to say that there was medics. Ready? Let me ask you guys a question. Why, if Jennifer Drake gave the dispatch the 911 call, if she gave the address and suite number of Brian Drake, then why would the people that were responding, like the medics, like the police, like law enforcement, why in the world would they be responding to the address of Isaac Thunderbird? Why would they be responding to a street El Paso behind Dr. Drake's, building? Why would they be responding to the thrift store that's located, away? Like, if you have specific straight instructions within just a minute or two, at 7:29, if you are told that you need to get to 6811 Main Street, suite number blah blah blah. That's where these people should be going, right? I mean, I don't know. But that's not what happened. That's not what happened at all. What happened is that, see, what had happened is that this whole thing happens and they're interviewing Isaac and they're interviewing his girlfriend. And they're over here like, yeah, we saw somebody running and we heard, 2 gunshots and the person didn't seem injured. They ran back behind the building, and they, I don't know, they like ran. Okay. So why would police go off canvassing the area versus going to the actual address and suite number of where this person was shot? Why would 40 minutes go by? I'm checking with people at the thrift shop. I'm checking Cody Street. I'm checking apartment above Les Schwab. The fucker, what do you mean you're checking all these places? When the fuck do you when do you get into 6811 Main Street? Like, at 7:40, I then spoke to another person. They said, hey, I heard the gunshot. And I'm telling you, man, it was in that area of, like, they were, I don't know, they were wearing like a beanie and like, black pants, black jacket. And they ran over to like that State Farm insurance. Then this cop goes over to State Farm Insurance. Then they see a subject running on El Paso towards Main Street at, I don't know, 10 minutes after that. And then it's actually a police officer, okay, that tells people that he's at a suite over there at 6811, okay, that he's over there at a suite. All right. And he tells people to come respond to 6811. Okay. Because he had seen, remember in the reports, the officer had seen a broken window and then saw a guy laying down. So imagine all of this is happening. And you're an officer that's investigating this case. And you go and you come to look at all the paperwork and you're like, well, when the fuck did the wife call? If she was on the phone with him at 7:26, when did she call? Well, I don't know. Look at the paperwork. Okay. And you look at the paperwork. 8:59. 8:59. 8:59. What? I said, well, that's why they're not talking about the 911 call all the time. Dead people don't bleed, says someone. I mean, I've never. And so I said to myself, I have to be wrong. This is no way. This is not possible. This is not possible. Until I saw her day. And because I said, it's all right here. These officers can see that this woman is just lying her fucking tits off, right? And then I saw what she was doing all day. And the thing that's really scared and weird is that it seems like the text messaging that was occurring between the two phones, the only type of communication that Brian Drake had with anybody that entire day, except for before he left for work, in my opinion, it's very sketch. I would love to know where Brian Drake's phone was, geolocations. And then that's when I realized that Van Leuven said that Brian Drake's Google location was off on his phone. I said, oh, convenient. Then I said, okay, well, what else happened that day? Well, she wasn't planning for COVID and things were canceled. Her kids were supposed to work on Friday, and she had called the guy who her kids were supposed to go work for, these two boys. And she had called this guy, she texted him and said that they wouldn't be able to be coming to work on Friday because they had a G3 conference that was canceled, and that something was going on with the STEM program for the charter school. And so she's doing all of this at like 11:30 in the morning, canceling stuff. She's making plans for her daughter to be somewhere else. She arranged basically an alibi for Brenner to make it seem like he was at a, the other brother's event. What else should I throw out there? She called her mom, she called her dad, she called that Steve guy. She was texting with him, texted with this Amber woman. And she called the Steve guy at 7:41 after her mom and dad's phone calls. And then another text at 7:40. Then there was a phone call. She's like, you need to call me now. Then they talk. Then her son somehow becomes aware of this and texts and says, hey, what's going on? What's wrong? What's wrong? And is texting her like, what's wrong? What's wrong? But Brenner's texting from his phone to his mom's phone. Okay. And And then there's, again, back and forth on his mom's phone and Brenner's phone saying things like, call the work guy and let the work guy know that you're not going to be coming to school or you're not going to be going to work tomorrow. Meanwhile, she already did that. And he then says, I already did that. She's fucking everything up. Everything's getting fucked up in these text messages. Then she tells him just to go to sleep, that she doesn't know what's going on. And she's on the phone. She was on the phone with the police when she was not on the phone with the police. She was actually on the phone with Steve, but she's telling her son that she's on the phone with the police in these text messages. And I think the biggest thing for me that put me on the path of, okay, I know she was involved, but who was involved with her, is when she talked about her daughter and that she was on a couch with her daughter. And I was able to get to the bottom of that her daughter was nowhere near her that whole day. Her daughter was in fact with Beth, and they were supposed to go to a concert, but it got canceled because of COVID. And then, Jennifer asked in a manipulative way, making it seem like that she talked to her daughter and her daughter wanted to stay. And she said that she'd given her daughter permission if it was okay with her, her friend. She's like, oh, we'll love to keep her, and we'll just do some crafts and stuff like that. Okay. So you're coming out here, you know that this Daniel Moore guy didn't do it, and you're asking the world to help you, give you more evidence so that you can put him away. Well, I'm calling the FBI and I'm calling the tip line, and I have a bunch of information, and it leads to you. It leads directly to you. It leads to the fact that you don't have an alibi, and it leads to the fact that you, there's people out there that know that Jennifer Drake was not sitting on the couch with her daughter. You have Jennifer Drake writing her son in text messages, telling him to go to sleep, go to bed. Well, he's going to be all right, isn't he? He's going to be all right, isn't he? He's going to be all right. I don't know. I won't know anything. I probably won't know anything until the morning. And then makes the golden mistake of, why are you heading back here? Why are you coming back? Making it seem like she's there. And then he texts and says, this guy, Dwayne or Darren, he said he would go to the house. Go to the house. Well, aren't you at the house? Isn't the son at the house? Why would anybody that's that old need someone to come there? And you would never say, go to the house if you're not there. You would say, so-and-so said they would come over. I'm going to send somebody to the house, to go over to the house. If she said that her kid went to a G3 conference, he did not. It was canceled. I did my homework. I can prove it. I don't know what the fuck these people were doing when they were investigating this. But all it smells like to me is that I don't know what Brian Drake was involved in. I don't know what day Eldora Gatchel was told that this happened to Brian, because I don't think she's purposely misleading the cops. I don't. But I don't know how it truly misses in translation of whatever time she would have called the police to say that this happened. If she would have done that right when she got off the phone with him, it's just not there. It just didn't happen. But then you hear this 911 call and you're like, well, there is a 911 call. Well, go look and see what time it was. Go look and ask yourself why ISP can't put it in paperwork of what time it was. And then she's basically making up stuff because she knows shit that she shouldn't know. Who fed her the fucking notes on when people were dispatched? How does she know that medics were there? She's making it seem like, yeah, they were telling me that medics were on scene. So someone's just going to call your cell phone number. Unreal. Who doesn't ask somebody what they did that day? Where were you? Where were you all day? What were you doing? Have you ever been questioned in a murder investigation and somebody not ask you what the fuck you did all day? Has that ever happened in a murder investigation? Can you tell me where you were? Can you tell me what you were doing? Let's start with your day. Okay. So, and then listen to this. Listen to this shit. I mean, Eldora, this woman tried to throw you under the bus, tried to say that you and your brother killed a man.
So we didn't expect to get in. Just told them, well, Monday would be fine, but they come in at work. So went to the airport to pick up my niece. Took our time on the way back. And later in the day, mid-afternoon, maybe 3 or so, I got a text message back saying, how's about 6 o'clock? End of the day, he's going to squeeze us in anyway. So I said, okay, sure, we'll take it. So came back. Of course, Sonia wasn't feeling well, so she stayed home. And Kiko and I went to the appointment. We got there at 6:03, and we noticed that because I made a comment in the car. 6:03, we're almost there.
What do you mean you made a comment in the car and said, 6:03, Doc, we're almost there? Like, were you talking to him? The fuck does that even mean? Like, it doesn't even make any fucking sense. Okay. Look at this shit. Dude, these are the same fucking dudes that are on this fucking Idaho 4 case. Y'all, like, this is wild. This is a blatant lie. Okay. Right here. Uber texts about your driving papers. Do you know that the day before Brian died, allegedly, she's asking Brian how many miles you have on your car? Asking him how many miles does he have on his car the day before he is murdered. And I said to myself, wow. How fucking crazy would it be that somebody asked how many miles you have on your car the day before you're murdered? For what purpose? And guess what she claims? She's going to claim that it's because it was for taxes. I sent Brian with our tax papers to go see the accountant. What? Think about this. You ask somebody how many miles they have on their car, and they respond with you know, 89,150. And I thought to myself, holy fucking shit, man. She thinks that she's thought about everything, because when she's questioned, she could just say, well, look, I asked him how many miles were on his car, and he told me 89,000, and look how many miles are now on his car. It's the equivalent of him driving out there. Do you know what else she said in the interview? She said that I saw about the vodka that was in his car that the cops found. How would you have ever seen the bottle of vodka that was in his car? When did you ever see that? When did you ever see that? You couldn't have, unless you were fucking there. Literally, in a text message, she asks Brian the day she was fucking murdered how many miles he has on his car. Then her and Brian are having like these texting back and forth. Okay. And he's supposed to be at work. He's supposed to be at work, you would think, right? And she's like sending him to go see some tax dude, their tax guy, who I found out that it was his neighbor. Okay. And that she's trying to give him directions on where his office is. And then she texts and she says, hey, Scott, whatever the fucking neighbor's name is, who's also a tax guy. Hey, Brian's at your office. He's at the door, but you're not answering. It's probably because you're not there, right? Should he just leave it? Oh, wait, no, he just ran into so-and-so. Like these elaborate fucking shit, man. This crazy ass shit that this woman is doing. So much so that I'm like, I do not believe that Brian Drake, there is a chance that Brian Drake was not killed on 3/12. I've never seen so much fuckerage in terms of like, remember, let's go back to Brian's phone. The last time Brian talks to anybody on his cell phone, 3/11, 4:25 p.m. Now, how many people like would really truly cover for her, right? You can't have all these people in on it. Okay. And then I remembered my time with the Chris Watts case. And I said, fuck, man. Shanann wasn't honest with her friends. So when her friends spoke to the police, it made it seem like they were lying, but really they were being lied to. Okay. And it made the investigation hard. It made it hard because shit, it's making it seem like, who's lying here? Like, what's going on? What the text messaging isn't adding up with the facts. Okay. So then I go back to this case and I'm like, this was a plot to literally, obviously take this man out. Extremely calculated. Extremely calculated. Because after all, guys, it's 2023. And at that time it was 2020. But this was so thought out in terms of she has an answer for everything. Somebody texted Brian on 3/11, and I said to myself, why the fuck why didn't he write him back? Why didn't he write this person back? Like, it wasn't that late. I think it was, the text message was at like 8:45, 9. And I'm like, this person's trying to talk about like the next day tomorrow. And what's her name? Jennifer says that Brian spent the night hanging out at Caddy Shack, which was a restaurant, with one of their friends, Spencer. And I'm sure that happened. But what time did they hang out till? That's what I want to know. What time did they hang out till? There are there was a lot of things missing from both all these offices. So much so that like they kept asking, where's all these patient files? Like, we're trying to look for like these people, are like, we're trying to find these people. We're trying to ask him, like, you know, did he meet with these people? We're trying to find everything about these people. And she's in one breath claiming that she runs the business. And then next breath she says, I don't know how any of this fucking works. She's all over the place. And her go-to answer is that I have everything at home. Well, then why the fuck didn't you go to the house and serve a fucking search warrant on that property? What female was Brian having sex with that was a wife or a girlfriend or a daughter of law enforcement in Bonners? That's my question. I have no idea who Eldora was texting with. Eldora, did you text his work cell? Did you text his, personal cell? So I fucking hit up Eldora. Eldora. I hit up Eldora because I thought that she had a right to know that during my investigation, I think that you should have a right to know that this is still an open investigation and that Jennifer Drake threw you and your family the fuck under the bus and basically accused you of possibly killing her husband. I thought that she had a right to know. Wouldn't you want to know that? If somebody accused you that, what? I went there to get my back cracked and you think I fucking shot this guy? So I called her, left her a message, I sent her a text. Do you know that she made the ultimate mistake of ultimate mistakes when you screenshot somebody's text messages and then you forward them to somebody else? And you make the ultimate mistake when you're not used to doing that. And someone tells you, well, here, take a screenshot of it and send it to me. And you actually send it to the person that sent it to you. So I get a copy of Eldora taking a screenshot of me just saying, hey, I'm doing a documentary and have some information and wanted to, hear about your experience and what date, and is there any metadata behind any of the text messages, any of the video recordings? So I believe that she screenshotted that and sent that to Jennifer Drake. Because it was a couple days later. And I think she was saying, hey, somebody's asking me about your murder, about your husband's murder. Well, Jennifer Drake came out and asked the public for help, and I am simply helping. And what I've uncovered is that Jennifer Drake has no alibi. Jennifer Drake, you have no alibi. Your daughter wasn't with you. Your son is texting you, asking you why you're coming back. Why are you heading back? You're already coming back. Why are you heading back? Then you're telling your son to go to bed, and your son's like, "You think I can sleep after this? You think I can sleep after this? After what?" He's gonna be all right, though, right? What? Just go to bed. Just go to bed. What? Then I said to myself, how does Brenner know anything about this? Oh, because she texted Steve and said, walk away from the house. Walk away from the house. And then she talks to Steve on the phone at 7:41 when he's like, can I just call you later? And she's like, no, now. Calls. Walk away from the house. Calls. At 7:41 p.m. She had tried calling him at 7:31. Then there was like a text, and then he's like, can I just call you back later? And she's like, no, now. Walk away from the house. Then they talk. Steve, who took the one son to Lostology or some shit like that. I don't fucking know. But I couldn't even believe this shit. I said, okay, so if you never talked to your... And then why is your son writing at 8:16 and 8:17 from his phone, I love you, 8:16, and then 8:17, Papa? And then how is it possible that anybody opened and read those text messages if in fact Brian Drake is dead and his phone is laying right by his head, right there? And then the ultimate question I've always asked, which was, how the fuck does Brian Drake not call 911 himself? Well, it's simple, because it's not how the fuck it happened. None of this is the story. You may bleed internally, okay? But there is no blood coming from the, up chuck, no blood. He couldn't not speak, okay? So why wouldn't Brian Drake call 911 himself after he had been hit with a fucking gunshot? Like, he just got fucking hit, with a bullet. Why wouldn't you call 911 right then and there? You guys, it's impossible. If you have your phone in your hand, okay, that you get hit with one measly small caliber bullet. And that's even fucking talked about. Totally whack. Boundary County Sheriff's deputies, as well as Bonner's Ferry police officers, responded to the scene. Responding officers found a bullet hole through the window of the exam room of Dr. Drake's office. Officers found the door to Dr. Drake's office to be locked and broke it down, get to Dr. Drake, and to clear the building. Officers found Dr. Drake lying on the floor of his office unresponsive. Medical personnel responded and pronounced Dr. Drake deceased. Law enforcement secured the scene. I received a properly signed search warrant at approximately 3 p.m. on March 13th and made entry to the building. I found Dr. Drake lying on his back in the exam room with a cell phone near his body. I seized this phone as evidence. I later found this phone number to be blank with Verizon as the carrier. His wife later advised me that he used this phone primarily as his personal phone. I later determined, or I also seized a mobile phone from a desk in the office. I later determined this phone number to be this with Verizon as the carrier. His wife later advised me that this was his work phone. Would you believe that? Steve Minner, you know, the guy who was doing all these things for Jennifer Drake and the kids allegedly, and the first person that she calls after she calls her parents is him and doesn't call 911 for how long. He filed for divorce. What? Yeah. He filed for divorce. What are you talking about? Yeah. Steve Minner, you know. Steve Minner filed for divorce. Yeah. When? Oh, you know. August 2021. Shut up. Yeah. To be exact, August 13th, 2021. Oh, my. You know what the other crazy part is? Is that I believe that Steve, is he a pastor? So is Steve protected by what Jennifer would have ever talked to him about because pastor, you know, relations? Don't know. Ready for this? Remember I told you these were really crazy words? Dr. Aiken attributed the cause of death to be a penetrating gunshot wound. This is just unfucking believable. What a fuck job. This is all fucking lies. All lies. Oh, fucking eyes. Jesus Christ. So, so Eldora here. Eldora. I think you should go to the police. Eldora, I think that you should go to the police. Everything in here is hearsay. You know, the other thing that's interesting is, you know, when Eldora says she's there and she reported seeing this white, large pickup truck stop in the drive-through between the two buildings as they were leaving the office. If that was the case, then Isaac Funderburg wouldn't have been able to see anything because that truck was taking up that driveway area and you wouldn't have been able to see anybody running behind a big white truck that's in the drive-through. It's just not going to be possible. So I think Eldora was lied to. I do. I truly do. I think Eldora is mistaken. She also said that Dr. Was in a boot. Was he in a boot? Was he in a boot? You know, how the fuck do you drive with a boot on? Wait till you guys get to hear the acting that good old Jennifer does. So do you guys know none of this would have been found out? I was investigating Gary Tolson. Good old Gary. Good old Gary. And I found this case because of Jennifer Drake. Because Jennifer Drake, the $1 million life insurance policy that she cashed in on, she called Omaha the next day for life insurance. She got $50,000 from a GoFundMe. She got $1 million life insurance policy. $1 million. And she called on the policy the next day. I believe that the officers know exactly what happened. And I believe that they basically let her know that they knew when they said that we believe that a 16-year-old could have done this. That had, you know, that blamed somebody for their, you know, parents splitting up, or, you know, how they did that whole little spiel. And that I think that 16-year-old that the police were talking about was their son. And that she's over here, it's like, oh yeah, so true. Like, oh yeah. Like, what? If you try to tell me that a 16-year-old did this, I would say, what are you talking about? No, I don't see that. But she's over here just like, yeah, like thinking that it's possible. But she said, but the police say to her that this 16-year-old, though, he's on the phone. He's on the phone, and that's his alibi. His alibi is that he's on the phone, and what they're trying to talk about is they're trying to say that this past, person that was in their lives, that this 16-year-old, yeah, but they have an alibi because he was on the phone. He was on the phone. Since when the fuck is being on the phone an alibi? I don't get it, But I think what they were talking about was that the 16-year-old that was possibly in their lives, their son, was on the phone. Because he was. And then I saw that most ridiculous fucking letter. And I posted it for you guys. That was the last birthday letter that Brenner wrote his dad. And it was the most fucking bizarre thing I've ever read in my life, if you guys didn't know. Let's see. And so this just brings me though to like the whole okay, if you want to bury this fucking case and you don't want anyone to find out who fucking killed this guy because y'all fucking are corrupt, that's fine, bury the case. But how do you go and you want to blame somebody that had nothing to do with it, not even a shred to do with it? I mean, why? Why not just not have a killer? And if you guys don't believe me, well, the preliminary hearing and the transcripts that me and Bella are going to read that transpired at the preliminary hearing, it proves everything that I just told you guys here today. But nowhere near in the amount of detail, because I go above and beyond. But Jennifer Drake completely planned this. I don't know if Jennifer Drake killed anybody. Because I wasn't there, but I can tell you 100% Jennifer Drake lied. I could tell you 100% Jennifer Drake has no alibi. I could tell you that Jennifer was not with her daughter. Jennifer was not with Brenner. Jennifer was not with any of her kids. Jennifer did not call 911 right away, like she says. And in fact, she never could have expected in a million thousand years that this Isaac Funderburg guy would call the police. And when he did, it fucked her whole plan up. Because her dumbass still called the police and acted like she just got off the phone with them. And acting like a hysterical fucking lunatic. And A for fucking effort, Mama B. Reciting a story. The question is when did fucking Brian Drake, when was he killed? I don't know. Why? Because they didn't fucking get to Brian Drake's body. Brian Drake's phone was opened. Why do I think that's important? Because like I've said, who had Brian Drake's phone? What phone was next to Brian Drake's head? I mean, fuck if I know. After I saw them put this together, This isn't true. This isn't true. Isaac Thunderberg said he heard 2 gunshots, and they're over here saying there's only 1. There wasn't 1. That's not what the eyewitness said. The eyewitness said he heard 2 gunshots. How about where's the fucking shell casing of the fucking bullet that you said you found in the body? Where's the shell casing? Where is it? It wasn't there, was it? Where's the bullet? Where's the actual bullet that you said you pulled from his body? And then it was in pristine condition. Where's that bullet? Because right now, you said you sent it off to 2 labs. Where are the lab reports? Why didn't you serve a search warrant upon Jennifer Drake's house? Why didn't you look at the 911 calls? The best is, how do you determine the trajectory of a gunshot and how it traveled if you don't have an expert to testify on the stand about that? Wait till you hear this preliminary hearing. You guys are going to fucking die because I died. I laugh because otherwise I'd cry. You need to hear Van Leuven on the stand. This guy is a fucking woo. He is just not bright. They lied about a fucking 911 call so much so that they committed prosecutorial misconduct to hide it. It's insane. It's fucking insane. And nobody caught it. Nobody asked Jennifer Drake what she did all day. Nobody asked Jennifer Drake what time she called 911. I don't give a fuck about rerouting. What time was the call? Pristine after shattering through glass? Yeah, because the MEs said that the bullet, this alleged bullet the MEs, I'm sorry, not the MEs, the medics said that there was the gunshot that went through the building glass, that did not touch Brian Drake. I said, wait, what? Yeah. Have you ever heard of medics arriving on scene and not attempting to work? Oh, there is. I told you no glass. There's a little bit of glass. Have you guys ever heard of medics arriving on scene and not working on a body that allegedly just was shot, not that long ago? Like, no, we didn't touch the body. Wait, what do you mean you didn't touch the body? What are you talking about? Well, we just touched it to do what? You're not making any sense. Explain it. Explain it so I can understand it. Okay, well, let's see. Okay. Well, there was no indication of injury due to bullet. What? What do you mean? Yeah, when I called it in over the radio, I told them that there was no indication that the injuries sustained by the victim were from a bullet. The fuck are you talking about? Yeah, I hit my little radio and I was talking to them and I said, hey, no indication of any injury due to a bullet. What else did you say to them? Well, I don't know. Then I just advised them that, that medical, did as far as patient assessment, man. We just, we saw no injuries, no cuts, no blood. We didn't move patient other than to use cardiac monitoring. No, there was no cardiac activity observed. There's no blood in his ears, his mouth, his nose. There's just no blood. And there was no indication that the glass that the officer saw and that they're saying that a bullet went through it, okay? There was no indication that a bullet, was any part of anything. Wait, what? Think about this on the stand. Was there any okay, so then what else happened? I don't know. We left. You left. So you didn't perform any life-saving measures on this man. No, and my next question needs to be, how blue was this motherfucker? What was his body temp when you got there? Oh, Truth and Transparency just updated that CD armed and surrounded. They found him surrounded. How did he get armed? Wait, why didn't he bleed? I don't know, because I don't believe that he was fucking shot. But what if you're dead and then somebody shoots you? And then somebody locks up locks up the place and then leaves? I mean, have you guys ever heard of anything like this? The coroner, you know how my butt didn't go in the house until allegedly like 5 or 5:30 for the Idaho 4 case? Well, this coroner, he didn't go into the house. I mean, not the house, but the this complex, his office. The coroner did not go into and help ISP bag and tag. That's all he did was bag and tag. He didn't transport. He didn't do shit. Bag and tag. He had never been in there beforehand. The coroner did not go in that place until after 3 p.m. on 3/13. I've never heard of such a thing. So please explain to me how this works. So the medical people arrive. How were they able to get in? Well, they broke down the door. Okay. And then, yeah, we barely touched him. We moved. I mean, why would you ever not touch somebody and like do anything? Like you'd have to like have some really like, oh God, he looks like he's been dead for a minute. That type of thing. He laid there, guys. No blood. Laid there. from at least 7:40 p.m., at least 7:30, whatever, until at least 3 p.m. the next day. They didn't attempt, like when they found, for example, when John O'Keefe was found, they were working on him. They had him in the ambulance and they were working on him. Okay. John O'Keefe out in the snow. They were working on him. So here they get to Dr. Drake and they get in there and they don't do anything except for they just check to see that he has no cardiac, there's no activity. I don't understand that. How do you check? This is where you need a doctor. Explain to me what these medics did. Okay, so did they take his temperature? What was his temperature? And nobody called the coroner to come there. The coroner just heard it over the damn scanner. Nobody said, hey, come get this motherfucker. Nobody. Until the next day after 3 p.m. And then my question is that when you do a tox out, like when you run the tox reports, what is that going to be based off of? The time of death. At the time of death, he had 0.081. So think about I personally believe that the medical people, when they arrived to Dr. Drake, that they saw, okay, he's not dead because of no gunshot wound. This motherfucker has been dead for a minute. There's no blood. There's nothing coming from his mouth, his nose, his ears. And like there'd be a reason that you didn't try to perform any saving measures of his life. And that to me would be as if he was like, you could totally tell that he was dead. And I don't see that you would think that if this just had happened. And you mix that with Brian's little phone activity that only transpired with he was talking to his family. And then Eldora and this guy Jacobson saying that they saw him. And now that stuff, that's just, and then she's like, it was such a weird video to see him just like right there, like in the flesh, like there he is. So I don't know. She was all about everybody recording everything that day. She wanted her her son to be recording her other son. So that's all recorded. And then she's got Eldora recording them going and visiting. Very weird. Very weird. Anyways, this is what you get when you deal with Idaho ISP. How does this get past Gary Tolson and Mike Van Leeuwen, who are supposed to be vets, knowing in and outside what's going on? And the answer to me is corruption. So I'm telling you this right now. I don't risk my career and my job for some fucking anything like this, unless I made some buco bucks, which then again, I wouldn't do it anyways. But I'm just saying, like, they're not going to just do this for nothing. They're not going to be this dumb for nothing. I mean, all it takes is you looking at the stuff. And then you sit down with Jennifer, stop throwing her some fucking softball questions and say, Jennifer, you did not call the police until this time. Listen to your 911 call. You sound like a raging lunatic, and you just made it seem like you just got off the phone with him. But you didn't. Then ask her about what the fuck she did all day. Jennifer, why are you telling people that you were with your daughter and you weren't? I was just saying those things because I was really hoping that it would just make people come forward if they heard about my daughter. Bitch, you crazy. And I'm telling you what, you guys want to talk about kids being in danger, all right? This woman's dangerous, and she has kids with her. So just like the whole Daybell shit, and in fact, if people don't want to say that people aren't capable of whatever they're capable of, well, let's see. Daybell did what? Killed her ex-husband, right? Got away with it. Or her, like, current husband that she was divorcing. I don't fucking know. I didn't follow that case. I think they're fucking crazy. But she kept on escalating to get around things. So this is something serious, and we'll be passing it on. And stay away from this woman. She's dangerous. Jennifer had him murdered. That's for damn sure. We just have to prove it. Oh, I prove it tomorrow. The 911 call proves it. The 911 call, she wasn't expecting that to happen. Can you imagine that? Isaac Funderburg hears the gunshot. I'm going to go ahead and give Brian Drake's mom and sister a call. See if they care about the truth. Until next time, guys, what's up? Ann Taylor has known this for years. Well, yeah. When anybody wants to talk to me about the PCA, that's why I'm showing you this PCA, because it's all fucking lies and they know that it was a lie. Or they're just inept. So either way, take it for what it's worth. But $1 million life insurance policy. Peace out, guys.
November 29th, for people that were murdered, and you want to fuck around. You got 8 families that are being affected by this.